Welcome to the network. Welcome to the Two Dads edition.
Wait, that's not it.
Start again.
Two Dads, Gen X edition.
What's up, Dawson?
What?
How are you?
Hi, James. Hi, James. Your name is
Good.
James. My name is Dawson. I live in a tree.
So our last episode, we talked a lot about like some of the struggle of like career and all that kind of stuff. And I think it led to us talking about like our not feeling like we had purpose, some of that struggle that happens when you lose purpose or when you're trying to find purpose, that kind of thing. And you know, we were just talking about like, I was just talking about how, you know, going through the divorce and the first divorce, second divorce, having the kids, changing careers, all that kind of stuff. Like I didn't know what my actual like purpose, goals, all that kind of stuff were. And it added to the stress and the strain. So have you ever felt that?
I mean, yeah, I think, you know, in the last episode with the struggles, why did Gen X struggle? Mine, you know, I definitely talked about a lot of switching jobs and divorce and stuff like that. And so in this episode, when life stops making sense, the Gen X purpose crisis,
Yeah.
Especially for men when they feel like they're losing their purpose in work and family, and then women when the kids leave the nest, they feel like they lose a lot of their purpose.
Yeah.
That's when you see a lot of divorces happen, sadly. And so we definitely wanted to build on that last episode and then kind of add to this. And it's like, okay, well, and that's 3 segments we want to do. It's like when the old purpose starts to fade, kind of where that goes there, you know, the quiet impact of losing your purpose, and then how do you rediscover your purpose, you know, and kind of help people find those ways and kind of share our stories on how we both went through these phases and still going through.
Yeah,
the last phase of rediscovering. and so let's just jump into this and kind of go there.
Yeah. So like that first topic of like when our old purpose starts to fade, you know, one of the things that I have always struggled with having ADHD, you know, I was diagnosed at 17, never medicated or anything like that. And so like, there's that dopamine addiction of ADHD where, you know, you start something new and you're like, oh, this is great. And then it fades and you're like, oh, you know, and so that became kind of like me bouncing around careers for a long time, but I didn't really have an identity for a long time that was tied to a career. All I knew was I didn't need to support a family, but, you know, that career identity, a lot of times our purpose is our career, or our purpose is our kids, or our purpose is, you know, whatever the hobby is that we're pursuing. But like everything in the first 15 years of my adult life was my wife, my kids, trying to provide for them, being a good dad, all that kind of stuff. And then I got that rejection of she wanted a divorce after all these sacrifices, and it just killed that feeling of purpose. I felt lost.
Yeah, I think for me, again, we talked about this in the role reversal. It just, for me, I found purpose. It was so funny because my marriage was interesting. I think she had that old school mentality that they had in like the 20s, 30s, 50s of 1920s, 30s, 50s. That, oh, my wife's annoying me, so I'll give her a kid. Give her purpose, you know, which is very chauvinistic in general. But I think she had that mentality. My husband's annoying me, so I'll just get pregnant, and because he wants to be a dad. Yeah. And it did give me more purpose. I mean, you know, that was hard because it's like I wanted to spend time, I wanted to travel, I wanted to like build something with her, and there was no interest in that for her. It felt like to me. And so I did find purpose with the kids, like most traditional spouses do. And I'm going to say spouse, not women, because it's more spouse.
Because it can be either or.
Yeah. and so for me, that was really great. But as they got older and she made more money, I started to feel like, why am I here? Like, what am I doing besides raising our kids? And as you know, my youngest got closer to 5 and he's going to be in school, that was kind of like my first phase of like, okay, my career doesn't make enough money to really support us, if she lost her job, we'd lose everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because she made more, she had to have more, and we just bought bigger houses and spent more. And
Like Biggie says, more money, more
I
problems.
was like, I don't want all this. And that's where I found a lot of peace after the divorce, living in an apartment. So it's like, oh my God, this is so nice. I can do everything in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So that was really hard. And then as that career, I wanted to find more purpose because I knew I was in a dead end job. It really didn't go anywhere. I'd just be one of those old people doing the same treatment jockey, going from room to room, doing breathing treatments and not having any really fulfillment and reward. And so that's when I wanted to better myself and go to school. And that's when the big aha moment of, she really doesn't give a shit if I have purpose. I'm not with a partner that wants to see me grow and build.
Yep.
And that's why I fucking love Sid. I mean, she's so supportive. She's, supporting this and us, our journey for this, which is giving us purpose too.
Yep.
Like a side purpose, which is cool. And so it was hard to describe that feeling of, now what?
Yeah.
What do I do? And the fear of that, and like basically grabbing it by the balls and embracing it, and like, okay, how can I, get through this?
I think my first moment of that was during my first divorce, because we were trying to cohabitate because divorce is expensive.
Yeah.
And she was already going out. I mean, because I was home with the kids, she'd go out to work, right? Because she started off like this guy.
She was a hooker?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. But she was like selling these rainbow vacuums, those water tank vacuum system thing. Yeah. But she wouldn't come home until 2 a.m, 3 a.m. occasionally. And it's like, okay, I get what you're doing, kind of thing, right?
She was,
don't know for sure.
She
but
was working those vacuums really well.
And so I don't know that for sure, but like,
let me show you the suck feature on this vacuum.
It hurt really badly, and then so when I finally moved out, because I couldn't keep doing that. I was trying to convince her to stick with the marriage in spite of all that. It finally hurt so much that I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I left. I went and bought another house a couple months later. I had my own place, and I was like, fuck it. If she's going to be out dating, I'm going to go out dating. So I started going out dating. And then I found out about like some of the stuff that was going on. And it was that first aha moment of, I can't be focused on me. I have to be focused on my kids. They need me. Right. And so it shifted everything. And I think there's a couple different phases in life where that happens. That was one of the big phases of a shift of purpose. When we get to be adults and it's working and having a family, that becomes our purpose. But then this was a very, very targeted one of, I need to protect my kids. I need to make sure that they're okay. I need to give them the stability and the safety that they need so that they can thrive. And then they started moving out.
Yeah.
And so like all my kids are gone now. I'm 48 and all my kids are adults, which is great. I love it. But it became that thing. And right as they were finally starting to move out is when the second divorce happened. And that was very, very disappointing because it was, we had talked about all these great things, but then the actions didn't reflect the words, and that I just couldn't do that either, and so I'm the one that initiated that one. But, it was that shift of, I tried to have a partner that I could do all this with, and I was waiting for that partner instead of just moving forward with all of these ideas and dreams that I had. So after my youngest went to college and after the divorce was done, I was like, what am I doing? I felt that loss of purpose again. And so another big shift happened.
Yeah. And
the big shift was, you know what? I'm going to pursue the things that I want to do because that's what I want to fucking do.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's
whether somebody's a part of my life or not, at this point, right? And I've said it before, I'd love to have somebody join me in it, but I'm not going to stop doing what I'm pursuing just because of that.
Well, and I think that's kind of for me too. It's kind of like, why around 35, 40, 45 do men start to lose their purpose or lose their focus? And it's why you see, honestly, men and women. I mean, kids are leaving, all that stuff, career changes.
Well, there's that empty nest syndrome that a lot of women have talked
Oh
about,
yeah,
right? But
100%. I mean, but you get that on both sides. And I'll tell you the hard thing for me, it the divorce went twofolds. Like I I went from being with my kids all the time.
mm-hmm.
And that was the hardest thing for me, was losing that time with my kids.
Yeah.
And so my whole purpose in life was to find a place close, still be interactive, still be the dad that I was,
Mm-hmm.
and so the transition was like, they're not losing me. The hard part for me as a father, in having the financial differences, she made so much money that to not pay me child support, to not have to do that, she's like, I'm going to pay for everything 100%, because I don't want
Right.
to deal with that crap.
Yeah.
And it put me in a weird place of, okay, cool. Financially, I don't have to worry about the sports and clothes and all that stuff. But I still had to buy my own house, and I still wanted to provide when they're at my place and give them the food and cook for them like I still did. Still go out and play and do vacations and stuff. But the more she made, the less it felt like they wanted to be with me, and so I didn't want them to have the stepfather, step mom that I had. My whole goal was to, I know that my kids are going to leave somewhere. They're eventually going to grow up and go,
Yeah.
and I don't want to be left
Yeah.
by myself and just be chasing tail or dating all the time and
Yeah.
doing this and that. And so like I wanted to shift that and find a way to like, I guess my whole goal was to still have quality time with them, but also find someone that I could grow old with as they get older and grandkids and stuff like that. And so I really struggled probably like the last 10 years finding that purpose with my kids, because I lost what I used to be.
Yeah.
I mean, because who I was then is not who I am now. And it was just so hard, because even now, as they're older going to college, I'm feeling that as much. And I know my ex, she's really feeling it and struggling it, because she kind of took that role that I was when they were younger. And so we went from, I mean, the main parent when they were younger, and she became by default, not because of choice, the main parent. I mean, I guess it was more choice on her doing that, and so it was just hard. And it's been hard for me that she can provide every little thing they want and then some. And I'm struggling just to make do. And they'll make comments of like, oh, I'll just take this because it's cheaper and you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm grateful that they recognize that I was struggling for a while and I was providing and every penny was going towards them. But I lost focus and purpose when I focused too much on making that combined home.
Right.
And I let a lot of that dictate,
trying to make up for, right?
Yeah, dictate what happened with my kids. And so I kind of lost them a little bit because I was trying too hard to make that work.
Yeah.
And so I had like almost no purpose for 10 years.
So that kind of goes into that next section of that impact, the quiet impact of losing purpose. Like what were some of the things that you struggled with without feeling like you had a purpose?
Getting up, waking up. I mean, honestly, getting up, going to work.
Motivation for anything?
I hated every moment at work. I didn't have any clear goal, motivation. I thought I did.
Mm-hmm.
And so losing that second relationship is almost kind of like with you, losing that relationship. It wasn't at all what you thought it was. It was a complete sham. I was basically used to prove to another guy that she was willing to get married and all this stuff.
Yep.
And I'm doing everything I can to make that home awesome for my kids. They want to come be with me. So we truly had a 50-50. And losing that relationship was one of the best things that could have happened to me. one of those pivotal moments that I could
Yeah.
either look at it like, oh my God, I'm so pissed. I was used and abused and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
I noticed as I was losing my purpose, I started drinking more. I started neglecting who I was and started neglecting my kids and I was letting it really hit me. And so like the eye opener for me was having to live in an Airbnb for 2 months, paying $6,000 a month for basically something as big as a studio, not seeing my kids as much because they didn't have a place to stay. And so
Mhm.
I'm like, basically, I felt like some of those men that have like court ordered, you have someone with them all the time, and you can only meet at
That's
one
horrible.
spot, and
Yeah.
and it's like,
The
and I
supervised.
wasn't even a
Yeah.
bad guy. I
Yeah.
was like literally just put in this situation, and that's where I'm like, I gotta embrace what I'm doing, understand it. That's that's why I love travel nursing. Is my focus was how do I find that again, and that's when I started seeing a therapist. That's why I
Mhm.
started going through that.
Well, and that's where, I mean, I talked about it a little bit last session too, or last session. See, I'm a therapist. Last episode where, you know, when I think people, because when people lose their purpose, they feel demotivated, they feel depressed, they feel anxiety increase, they feel lethargic, they don't feel like they're worth anything. You know, all these things happen. It affects their relationships with their kids, with their spouses, with themselves, and they get stuck in that mindset.
Yeah.
And we'll have to do an episode on it at one point. But you start believing your cognitive distortions,
Yep.
and you get stuck in this framework because you're basically lying to yourself and telling yourself all of these negatives are true.
Yeah.
And that's part of what makes people stuck. And so there's an interesting thing about trying to find that purpose, because when we are not living in alignment with our core values, with who we are, and most of us don't know who we are, actually.
Yeah.
Most of us don't know what our core values are. When we're out of sync with those, it feels like life is falling apart. And our choices reflect that out of syncness with those core values and with that idea of who we are. And so, like, when these shifts happen, our identity shifts, because, like, I was a dad and I was a husband more than I was a soldier, more than I was, all that other stuff. And so when that rejection occurred, and that's what it felt like,
Yeah.
the ultimate rejection, but
Yeah. 100%.
it destroyed all of those things that were the core of who I was at the time. I had to rediscover that. I had to figure that back out. And, if you're not actively working on trying to discover that, time just passes.
Yeah. It literally feels like, I mean, that's when people, when they retire, like
Mhm.
that couple years before they retire, the anxiety,
Yeah.
what am I going to do? How are we going to fill
Mhm.
that time? I mean, I've seen people get divorced after they retire because they're like, I did not realize I didn't like this
Oh, yeah.
person.
Or like
It's
after the
like,
kids leave the
they're
house,
so annoying.
when the kids are finally adults, that's when the divorce happens,
Yeah,
And
because you're
it's,
actually forced to spend time with that person. And I know with marriage
Yeah.
counseling, they flat out said it's like your kids will come and go if you don't take time to love each other and embrace each other and build with each other. Your kids are gonna be gone. And you're gonna look at the person across from like, I don't even know this fucker. I don't even know this woman.
But we can't build with somebody else if we aren't building ourselves.
Yeah, 100%.
Not in like a selfish way, like, oh, I'm the most important person in the room kind of thing. We are, but we're also not. If we don't have that alignment of core values, if we don't have that recognition of who we are as we're building this relationship, then the relationship is being built on something that doesn't exist, right? And so building a relationship based on who I am and finding somebody that we actually work well together, we blend our lives well, we have similar core values, all that kind of stuff, allows us to actually build something. But we distract ourselves so much by keeping up with the Joneses or making sure the kids have whatever, that we neglect that part of us and that part of the relationship. And that then when all the kids are gone, that purpose is gone. And now we're stuck with ourselves again, but we still don't know what that is.
Yeah.
And a lot of the disruption happens. But
well, and that's kind of where you think about like, I think the obvious sign of when you're starting to lose purpose is you start questioning your life.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why did I pick this job? This is so meaningless.
Right?
Because there's some people that pick stuff to define who they are,
Yeah.
versus letting them define who they are. They're trying to let that define who they are. You know,
Yeah.
it's like that job shouldn't define you. It should just be a compliment to you if you love it and enjoy it. So like
Right.
when I had to refocus my mind with work, I went from focusing on money and how can I make more and I'm not getting paid what I deserve. That's never going to happen. I'm never going to get paid what I deserve ever.
Yeah.
And so I come to terms with that. And so by coming to terms with that, I shifted from being PRN. I'm like, okay, I had to sit down and say, okay, why do I feel this way? How do I understand it? And then instead of looking at my past of I did this wrong, I fucked up here, oh my God, I'm so stupid. You know, like you said, you fall in that trap of basically you're destroying yourself.
Yeah.
And, you know, I want to
And we believe it because we're telling us and we have all this evidence.
I almost said defecation again.
The what?
I almost said self-defecating again. I was like, God, how do I say that?
No, but those cognitive distortions.
Kind of do shit in your own brain, you know, kind of thing.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
But we eat it up because we think it's right because we have all this evidence. Like, you know, well, she divorced me. I must be a horrible guy. She says that I'm abusive, so I must be abusive. Yeah. You know, my kids are mad at me. I must be a horrible dad. And it's all this evidence that we are, but it's a skewed view of what's actually going on. And so, like, and there's an added pressure, especially for men, where it's like we're supposed to be the strong ones.
Yeah.
And you know, strong doesn't. But when we react to those kinds of things, a lot of times men get angry because anger is a secondary emotion, right? It's not the primary emotion. Feeling failure is the primary emotion. Yeah. Feeling, you know, 100%. But we get angry because we feel like we're failures. Yeah. But we're supposed to be these strong ones in control. One of the things that my kids have not really seen, I think they've seen it maybe once or twice ever. But the periodic times where it's like, I feel like I have to be strong all the time. I feel like I have to keep on going all the time. And that, you know, even though I have all of these stresses, it gets to me. And literally there are times where I'll be doing dishes and I'll just break down crying for like 15 seconds. And it's just like a couple of sobs, tears come down. I'm like, and then you keep going because that's what we're supposed to do. But that pressure builds and it has to release somehow. And sometimes that's what it does. You know, my kids, I think they've only seen it once. You know, once or twice, a couple of them, but
and I know my kids have seen me break down, and
I don't cry very often at all.
And it's hard because it's like I tell them I'm like,
but it's kind of toxic.
You're not supposed to see me cry.
I guess I am a toxic man.
Well, and it is hard. So like, as you're losing that, I think trying to find. I mean that. Working in the cardiovascular surgery, it was weird having a job that I loved. I loved it. I was excited for it. Mm-hmm. But when I had 20 employees all talking down to me, all putting me down, talking behind my back because they didn't like having a guy in the unit because it was all women. And, you know, from the perfusionist to the anesthesiologist, that some of the surgeons, they're like, dude, you're doing awesome. Like, we've never seen anybody get this stuff so fast. And it's like, you're the fastest in the core, you know, getting stuff for the surgery. I'm going to be in and out so fast. I got so good at anticipating what the surgeon would need. And I was like, I mean, man, I'd love to be on with the surgeon and actually learn that and become a PA, you know, kind of thing. But when you have core people that actually mattered to me were giving me compliments saying you're good. But then I had other people tearing me down.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, what's my purpose? Why am I here? Why am I putting myself through this? I go, this is not worth fucking doing. And you have to tell yourself in life, if you're in a shitty fucking job that sucks, you know, you have that anxiety, you know, change is good. Change can be everything. And that's one thing like I really try to help Sydney understand is, you know, you're going to get in this program, you're going to do your school. If you get in it, you don't like it, don't force yourself to do it. Embrace what you love, embrace what you like, because life's too short, you know. And she loves being a para and working with individual people because there's more meaning to it.
Yeah.
Like I could see her getting burned out and kind of feeling like she's losing her purpose at work because she's just getting abused, getting used. She's always having to sit, and it's just there's no appreciation for how good she is.
Yeah.
Like she's an amazing tech, and she's so good. She's great at anticipating people's needs, and I'm so glad that she went back to being more one-on-one because that person's gonna value it more because they see
Right.
her work set and she's really good at it. And that brings so much, and just everyone can tell. We talked about how when you lose your purpose, you start kind of like neglecting yourself, your spouse, and everything. And I love it. Like since she's gone to this, she's gone back to working out. She's like more energetic, like you can tell she's kind of feeling more purpose again.
Well, and those are
that's
ways that you
kinda
can
how it
tell
is,
when
yeah.
somebody's feeling purpose again as they start doing the things that they enjoyed doing or the things that they wanted to do before. The lack of those activities becomes part of that sign that's, the symptomology of somebody losing purpose or feeling like they're stuck, but if it goes back to that core value kind of idea though, of identifying who we are and defining who we are by our core values, it is one thing to get the accolades and then get the people backbiting and all that kind of stuff. But if you know who you are and you know what you're capable of and you know what you bring to the table when it comes to work or relationships or anything like that, then it doesn't matter what other people say because you're doing the best, right? The best that you can, and that you're fulfilling your purpose. And so I've had a lot of people who, I mean, not as a therapist necessarily, but a lot of people tear me down, especially through the divorce process, both times, where all kinds of negative things were said about me that were not true, that were either misunderstandings, blatant lies, or twistings of truth. And in the first divorce, it killed me practically. I mean, I got into a really dark place because it was so contradictory to who I was. It made me question everything. And so part of that, kind of process of rediscovering our purpose is we need to be able to remind ourselves, who am I actually? Who am I really? I am a father. Yes. I am a therapist. Yes. I'm a friend. I'm a son. I'm a brother. all this other stuff. Those are parts of who I am. But who am I really to me?
Yeah.
And what are my actual values? Like one of my core values is integrity. I believe in being honest.
Yeah.
I believe in being truthful. I'm not perfect at it. Nobody's 100% honest 100% of the time, and I don't believe in brutal honesty, but I will tell the truth and I will be honest with people, even if it means that something negative happens to me, because I've actually gone through that. But that's also part of why when somebody says something that's not true about me, it becomes upsetting, is because honesty and integrity are so important to me. I get offended when people are lying about me.
Yeah.
But I have to recognize that they're not me.
Yeah. I mean, I dealt with that a lot at the hospital as a respiratory therapist. I think there's parts where I wanted to move up on the ladder. And so then just because I'm so nice and kind of guy that sure off my back, man. I'll help you out. I'll do anything for you. I will, and I made stupid choices by like watching somebody's kid, which then spread rumors, and then that just developed on that. And they're like, "Well, you're just so nice," and da 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 da. It's like you have to be doing this and that,
right?
And it's like, no, man. It's like no. And then down the road, it's just like I got to get out of this situation.
Yeah.
I'm here. And so. It's like finding ways to cope with that. And then, like you said, learning to rediscover your purpose is kind of one of the biggest keys. So,
yeah.
Hey guys, hit that like and subscribe. Let us know in the comments kind of how you recognized you were losing your purpose, what you did to kind of sabotage yourself, and kind of and then also make it a 2-part where you tell us how you kind of rediscovered that. And we'll go into this last segment here, which I think is kind of what we want to be the meat and potatoes to help people find their purpose again. And I know for me, finding my purpose, I mean, after my last relationship, we talked about like I spiraled, living in Airbnb, like I jumped into buying the house I got frustrated. You know, we looked over, God, I think it was like 30 houses, you
Mhm.
know, all that stuff, being outbid by $100,000, you know, by small
By BlackRock
corporations.
and
Yeah, it's fuckers.
yeah,
Um, and then the economy's going to shit at the same time, and
Mhm.
interest rates are climbing, and basically my buying power went from nothing. I mean, I went from being able to afford a $400,000 home to barely 250, and I still
Yeah.
had to stretch myself. You
yeah,
know,
that was
and
frustrating.
and definitely, you guys, if you're looking at buying a house, check it out. That episode,
Yeah, we have
the
an
truth
episode
about
about
buying a house. It's episode 50. A lot of good lessons in there, and so I bought that house. Thought this was okay. This is giving me purpose. I got a home again for my
Mhm.
kids. They'll come over more. That didn't happen.
Yeah,
You know, they actually came
Yeah.
over less, and because they're teenagers, it's fine. I'm not mad at you guys. It's just because I was never home as a teenager either. So I mean,
Right,
I
right.
understood it. You know, I did not take that personal. You know, I just like, okay, I got to redefine again,
Yeah.
and I would not be worthy of Sydney if I didn't do that journey. If
Yeah.
I didn't take a step back and say, okay, what's my fucking goal?
Yeah.
And it's like I started looking at videos, how to find purpose again, how to, you know, redefine how you see life.
Mhm.
And one of the biggest things I learned is, you know, people make goals, you know, but they sometimes make big lofty goals.
Yeah.
And the key,
I'm going to be an influencer with 5 million followers in a month.
by March. It's like, oh fuck, it's March.
Yeah.
Then you feel like you failed, and you
Yep.
and so the key is to start small goals. So what I did is I got a dry erase board, and I originally just did it in the mirror. So I'd go in the shower, I'd see it every day.
Yep. That's a great technique, is something that you can remind yourself of by seeing it frequently.
It's like
Yeah.
you go in there, I'm like, oh crap, I haven't paid that card off. So that was my goal. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
I got 5 credit cards. I listed all 5 of them down, and I put by order of, I think I did the opposite of what
Dave Ramsey?
says. I think
Yeah.
it is high to low, high interest, low interest, something like that.
I think he does like
balance.
take the small dollar amount
Yeah.
ones, and it's a
Well,
snowball thing.
I did mine based on interest rate.
Gotcha.
So whatever had the highest interest rate, that's what I paid off 1st.
Mhm.
And I literally, by doing that, I got that shit paid down. Like 2 months went by, card was paid off, and it was so satisfying
I
to
bet. Yeah.
cross that off. Like, cool, I got 4 now. Then I'd take that money I'd put towards that card and put it to the next one.
Yeah.
And like a month later, that one was paid off, and I crossed it off. And then it's like when all 4 of those 5 were done, and like the final goal was pay off all debt.
Yeah.
And so the small goals we're doing individually, how I could focus on that. It laser focused my mind to, okay, cool. How do I do this? Chip it away.
Yeah,
And it was so awesome to do that last one. And then I could just take that marker and do the big one
Yeah.
right next. And it was like, God, I'm so proud of myself. And then it's like, what can I do next? What
Yeah.
can I do next?
So there's this overall concept, and there's a lot of different cultures that have a version of this. The one that I like is you have 2 wolves. There's a black wolf and a white wolf. You become the one you feed. So if
Yeah.
you're focused on all the negative stuff, if you're focused on all the reasons why things are bad, why you can't do, why you can't accomplish, why you can't whatever, you're feeding the black wolf, and that's the one that you're going to become.
Yeah.
So you become a negative person who feels failure and feels like they can't do anything. And so that process starts to feed the white wolf.
Yeah.
Right? It's like it's that idea of hope, right? We look at the big picture. We look at what's actually going on, and we just take a step forward. That first step forward is the linchpin in the. It's the hardest thing, but it starts the process. And so, you know, I've got a lot of debt, right? I've got a lot of different things. Everybody's struggling with different things, all that kind of stuff. Where it's like we all have reasons to feel like we're failing. But at the same time, there are also a lot of things that are going right.
Yeah.
If we start looking at those things that are going well and start acknowledging them and start pointing them out, and we start moving towards the goals, and I do this thing called the reverse engineering, where it's like I have my big picture goal.
Yeah.
And then I work backwards. If this is my goal, like paying off debt, if my goal is to pay off all of my debt, then what's the step right before I pay it all off?
Yeah.
And then what's the step before that? What's the step before
Like your
that?
small goals. Yeah.
You go to those smaller goals because it helps me define those small goals, and then I know what my next step is supposed to be. So my next step is I need to stop eating out, and I instead put that money towards a credit card so that I can pay that credit card off. And when that one's paid off, then we snowball, like David Ramsey says, right?
Yeah.
But it helps define the next step. And then as we go through the process, we periodically check into the big goal and say, okay, is this still my big goal? Do I need to make an adjustment? Is this realistic? Is it not realistic? Can I add to it? What do I need to take? But that working towards, instead of being stuck in, is that process. And it's not like because you made an extra payment on a credit card, all of a sudden everything's wonderful and happy.
Yeah, it's like, yay. And then, and
it's a journey.
Yeah. And it's important to realize, okay, oh, my furnace just went out.
Yeah.
Fuck, I paid these 3 cards off, but now I have to use all 3 to buy a new furnace.
Yeah.
That's not, and it's like when I tell my patients, just because you had a weaker day, you're not as strong today, that's not a step forward. And there's every family member goes, oh, so they're doing worse.
Yeah.
And I always go, no. I go, they just took a step sideways.
Yeah.
They're taking a new path. And they're like, oh, I never thought of it that way. And that's how you have to do that. Like, do not let the black wolf define again who you are.
Yeah.
Define who you are. And so, crap, I have to pay for a furnace. Dang it. All right. Put those back on there and I'm going to pay it off. But my furnace is new and now my electrical bill is a lot less.
Think that we're I have a new client that one of the things that they talked about is they feel like everything is just constantly against them. They can never get ahead. It's always failing, that kind of thing, because there's always evidence that it is, right?
Yeah. And there always will be.
And there always will be.
Always.
But it's that idea of like, oh, the furnace went out and I got to use the credit card that I just paid off to buy a new furnace, and it racked the credit card back up. Life is still coming at you, but you paid it off, which means you can pay it off again.
And I didn't financially strap myself because I paid that off in a way that I could pay for it.
It actually gave you the room to be able to replace that water heater,
100%.
The furnace, whatever. And so it's like there is progress, but the way that we view it, feeding that black wolf, feeding that white wolf, becomes a big part of that journey. And it's always a journey. The idea isn't that it's a goal that we reach. It's that the goal is actually that we're in the process of working towards.
Yeah.
The actual goal itself, once we reach the goal of getting out of debt, then what?
Yeah.
Well, then we redefine and reanalyze and go, okay, what's next? What do we do? Like you said, right? Like, what is the next thing? Because it doesn't stop just because we reached a goal. The journey is the goal. The being able to grow, getting stronger, and so that idea of like losing purpose and feeling like we're failing, and the depression and the demotivation that happens with that is a horrible place for everybody to be. And we're going to feel that at times. But as we work out of it and keep working out of it, when that feeling comes again, we've already worked out of it before, or we've gotten most of the way out. And so it builds that strength. You don't build strength by not lifting heavy things.
Yeah. I mean, it just goes back to that embracing failure. I mean, the thing is
embrace the suck.
Well, and the thing is, it's just taking those small steps to recognize the positives. And, humans naturally want to focus on negatives. I mean, we see it in the media. That's all they focus on. They want to scare you. They want to make you hate the world. They want to create division, and that's how society is, where the people that
fear is a strong motivator,
are truly happy. They don't do that. They feed this one. They're like, yeah, you know what? I had to fucking use 3 credit cards to pay for the furnace, but now my electric bill is less.
Yeah.
And that's more money down the road, and take that money and pay that off, and, even like, I think the other thing with when you have a partner, when you look at some of the powerhouses out there, couple wise, they support each other through thick and thin.
Yeah.
The bad, people, the young days, these kids.
And powerhouse doesn't mean financial success, like they're multimillionaires. Powerhouse is like the couple that's like, I want to be like them.
I mean, it's like they recognize each other's strengths. They support those strengths. They value those strengths, and they show that appreciation to that partner. And you grow. And what's nice when you lose your purpose in your role, having that strong person that, like we talked about this in the marriage episodes, marriage isn't 50-50. It's a fluctuating 100%. And when you have someone like you're losing your purpose, you lose doubt in yourself, having that partner that I have faith in you. We'll get through this. It's just temporary. This
Yeah.
is just a blip in our lives that we will look back and laugh at, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
And having that strong partner really does help you. And I'll tell you, people, it doesn't have to be someone that you live with, you're married to. It could be your best friend. It could be
a parent,
your
could be your
therapist.
child.
It could be
Yeah.
your child. Yeah. I mean, down the road, I think the biggest mistake people think is they think it has to be this specific person. And I always say, surround yourself with people that raise you, not drag you.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest mistakes I made in my life is I always
Yeah.
felt like I had to be the one to raise everyone up.
And nobody was raising you.
And then I found myself when I was losing my purpose. I'm like, well, fuck, guys, I'm the guy that got you over the wall. Hey.
Yeah. I wanna kind of redefine what that strength is, though.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people think strength is an absence of weakness.
Yeah.
Strength is not an absence of weakness. It's like bravery is not an absence of fear. Bravery is you move forward in spite of the fear. You don't let the fear stop you. And so, like, the strength is not like you're never weak, but we acknowledge the weakness.
Yeah.
It's healthy to say, man, I am really struggling right now. I feel like I'm failing right now, and I don't like this feeling, so that other people can have compassion, and because it doesn't last unless we let it.
Yeah.
But having somebody come in and say, you know what, I get it. You're not feeling very strong right now, and you've got a lot of challenges in your life, but I'm here for you. You know what? You're okay. You're doing well. And then it's like, okay, I'm going to believe that they might know me well, and so I'm going to believe that maybe I am doing okay. Maybe I'm not as bad as I think. And then that starts to shift again, right?
Yeah.
But if we're like trying to avoid that feeling of failure, if trying to avoid the feeling of weakness, then we're going to become weaker because it's like what is that animated movie Inside Out?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Happiness with the little girl was trying to control everything and keep the girl happy all the time, and everything was falling apart, and she's like, why is this all falling apart? And then finally sadness came in, and it was when the sadness came in that the compassion of the parents and the love and that created the core emotion, that turned gold, right?
Yeah.
But it was like, when we allow ourselves to recognize that I can't do everything, now we're open to actually becoming stronger.
Well, yeah, that's kind of how you rediscover yourself. It's you have to embrace the suck. Like you said, it's like you have to take the time to stop, recognize if you need help and ask for it. It's hard to do that, especially for men. We talked about that, and why is it so hard for men to ask for help?
Yep.
And it is. It's like, because society made Gen X feel that if you ask for help, you're weak.
Yep.
If you're
not accomplishing,
you're
weak.
If you're not making a lot of, my ex, she literally was told by her parents that if you don't make a lot of money, you're worthless.
Yeah.
And it's like, God, what is wrong with people? And it's just one of those things. It's like, that's not how you help lift your kids up. I told mine, it's like, I don't care what you do. I just want you to be happy. And
I did something like that. I didn't say I don't care what you do. I just want you to be happy. I said, I want you to be happy, but I want you to be able to accomplish what you're capable of,
want,
right?
Yeah. And live.
And so it's like one of the rules I had for my kids, not rules, I guess, but like I encourage them to do something beyond high school.
Yeah.
Trade school, training, college, whatever, but high school by itself and then just working, it's never enough. You're not going to make enough.
No, it's guaranteed poverty, lower middle class.
And so
guaranteed, 100%.
To be able to get it into,
and it sucks that society has made it that way.
I know it is, but it is. That's the way and that's the thing. You embrace the suck. That's the way it is. If you want to be able to succeed, you got to do a little bit more, right? But if you put in the time and you put in the effort, and you make the sacrifices, you will be able to accomplish. Doesn't mean right away, but eventually, right? Yeah. Same thing with overcoming these challenges and trying to find our purpose. If you take the time, you make the sacrifices, and you put in that and you put in that effort, you will find that purpose. You will find that motivation. You will find that drive again. You'll get out of being stuck.
Yeah.
But we have to know who we are.
How many people? Sorry, just playing footsies.
Yeah. They didn't see it. You didn't have to say anything.
My bad. How many people have you heard got fired unexpectedly or left their job out of frustration and anger and then embraced who they were and became so happy because they started a brewery because they always wanted to do it. I guarantee
Yeah.
if I lost my job, I would go 100% all into this. And just like, I know it's going to suck. Probably can't afford crap for a while, but it is. And like this is one of those things that we started this podcast to help men find purpose and help understand their struggles, and they're not alone. Jinx.
Well, and to help women recognize what men are actually going through because we don't talk about it.
Yeah. And it's like, we want guys to understand how to be better husbands, because we learn, we don't want you to go through what we did.
Yeah.
We want you to have what we wish we had back then, and the thing is this is giving me more purpose. And we've both admitted that by doing this podcast with you guys, we've learned more about ourselves. We've been more honest about ourselves. I've actually self-reflected so much more. And I think that's what has given me the purpose to go forward. If we don't make any money on this, I'm still super happy that I pass away, die, my kids will have all this to listen to and have guidance from me down the road, kind of thing. And it's like, and I love that. And it did find me more purpose, and I've actually gotten better at goal setting. I've gotten better understanding what my partner needs, and what I've gotten better at communicating what I need.
Well, it's helped me too, as being single again, right? Where I looking back, I was angry. I wasn't in a great place, understandably, but like I thought I was doing okay. But as we've done this podcast more, it's been therapeutic for me.
Yeah.
And hopefully that, those who are listening in who, learn about us and learn about our experiences and laugh with us and think we're insane and all that kind of fun stuff. But that this is impactful, and it just changes that narrative a little bit and helps us focus a little bit more on just being better people, being happier, moving forward more, rediscovering who we are.
Yeah.
The need to do that instead of getting lost in the sauce of what society's expectations are.
100%. Hey guys, I hope you like this episode. We try really hard to think of things that we've learned from, that we can help other people learn from.
Yeah, impactful.
Hit that like and subscribe. In the comments, tell us what tools you've used to regain your purpose. Also, let us know what kind of things you'd love to hear about.
Yeah.
I mean, what have you noticed you're struggling with? I'm at the point where we're at 54 episodes. And when people ask, like, oh, what's your podcast about? I'm like, fuck, a lot. Like, we talk about a lot.
Yeah,
it's like before we're like, oh, marriage.
Many ideas that we have for other that we haven't talked about yet.
And so we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to get ideas from you. But also we appreciate you guys stopping by. We want to say thank you 100%. Thank you.
Feed the white wolf though.
Yeah. Feed the white wolf, set those goals. Feeling depressed and frustrated with your life, that's a normal process. Again, we pimp therapy here because it's worked for both of us. He does it. So, but it does work when you find a therapist that works for you. They don't try to drug you. They
good therapists that you connect well with, that they connect well with you. That's one of the biggest things that makes therapy successful.
And sometimes it takes a couple. I mean, I went through
that's right.
5 before I found the one I not like a lot.
Yeah. Been through a few myself.
I got to reach out again so I can tell them we got 54 episodes. You start listening, because when I started talking to them, we didn't do this yet.
Yeah, but like, follow, subscribe, and let us know how you feel, how you like the subjects that we talk about, and definitely give us ideas. What do you want us to talk about too?
Yeah. Thanks for stopping by.
Stay classy, Kansas City.